The second round of the NBA playoffs are in full swing with each series sitting at 2 games played right now. It's not really looking too hot for a lot of these higher seeds. 3 of the 4 series currently going on are at a 2-0 lead for the lower seed. And like I said, it's just not really looking too hot for some of these higher seeds, not only to maybe come back in the series and at least make it competitive. It's looking like a couple of these could be a sweep or at least 5 games. It's definitely looking different from the first round, but again, like the first round, anything can happen. Every single series in the East went 7. We had a couple of a good series in the West. So, I mean, hey, anything can happen, but as it stands right now, it is not looking too good. Let's just get right into it. I'm going to start with the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons currently up 2-0 in this series. And boy, oh boy, where do I start with Cleveland, man? Let me start with James Harden. I can't defend you anymore, bro. I can't. As much as I want to, I can't. James Harden looks horrible. He looks horrible. He has looked horrible for the majority of this playoffs, pretty much outside of game 1 of round 1. He has looked bad, offensively, defensively. I mean, he's just not, he's living up to this, to the playoff dropper name. And it's unfortunate because I didn't really think he was a playoff dropper, and I still really don't think so, but the 2026 playoffs is not proving that to be true. He just looks like, honestly, he looks like he just been at the club all night and then he just shows up at 6 o'clock ready to play. He doesn't look focused. He doesn't look into it. Defensively, he's not like, he has the defensive side. He has the positional size to at least be a solid defender, but instead he just plays Olay defense. And it's hard to watch, especially for a player at James Harden's caliber. But it's not just him. It's not just him. Donovan Mitchell, yes, he had, I think, 30 points last game in game 2 against Detroit, but I personally don't think it was a very good game. He really turned it up in the third quarter when Amen Thompson went, or Asar Thompson, excuse me, when he went out in the third quarter with his fouls, and that's when Donovan kind of started to get it going. But other than that, I don't think this was a good Donovan game, and obviously they lose the game, so it couldn't have been that good. He hasn't looked good during the playoffs either. And it's just weird. It's really weird, especially for this team to be as good as they were offensively since James Harden has come along. It's just really, really weird. I know they've gone up against Toronto, a top 5 defense. Detroit, I think, is the number 1 defense in the league. So obviously you're gonna have a harder time getting good shots, but they don't get any good shots. Like, they don't get any good shots. And if it is, a good shot for them at this point is a lightly contested jumper, or a good shot for them at this point is like a lightly contested 3. Like, that's probably the best shot they can get, obviously, outside of like a missed assignment on defense from Detroit, dunk and layup or anything like that. But I mean, obviously, throughout this playoffs, we've seen the Cavs, they've looked different at home. They haven't lost a home game in this playoff, so we'll see how they do at home. But as it's looking right now, Detroit really looks to be in control. They've pretty much been in control for the majority of these 2 games. Obviously, they've let Cleveland come back. They haven't really shut the door in both of these games, but Detroit, they shut the door at the end of the game when it really mattered and won both of these at home. But like I said, it's up to Cleveland to see how they do at home, but I don't see this going past 5. I know Cleveland is at least gonna get 1 at home, but I don't think they're gonna get another one in Detroit. Moving on to the Thunder and the Lakers, 4. This will be a sweep. It will be a sweep. I mean, the talent disparity is just way too, it's too much. It's way too much, especially with Luka out. Austin Reeves has kind of looked like a shell of himself. He had an okay game last night, but in totality, roster to roster, OKC just blows LA out of the water. Obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander likely to become back-to-back MVP soon. Chet has been playing really well. He's been dominating the DeAndre Ayton matchup. No, they haven't had J-Dub in this series. I thought the Lakers would be able to take advantage of that. Obviously, they have not. But AJ Mitchell has really stepped it up. Jared McCain has had some really good moments and some good minutes in this series. And I will give credit to JJ Redick. He has had Shai in check, if you will. He's had some pretty good defensive schemes for Shai, and he's made it tough on him. In the first game, having 7 turnovers and under 20 points. I mean, you can't ask for a better game defensively against a soon-to-be two-time MVP, back-to-back MVP, but everybody else just showed up. Like, they just have way too much. I mean, Caruso can show up, Hartenstein can show up, Lou Dort can show up, Isaiah Joe can show up. Like, they just have so much talent. It's hard for me to pick against them, especially with this Lakers team who, outside of LeBron and Rui, who basically can't miss from three. Marcus Smart's had a couple of good moments and a couple of good games in the playoffs, but outside of that, DeAndre Ayton hasn't really been good. Luke Kennard had his Linsanity run in game 1 and game 2 in the first round, but they just don't have it. They don't have enough. They don't have enough, simple. Moving on to the New York Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, this is a series that I thought would be a little bit closer. Game 1 was an absolute snooze fest, blowout. Game 2 was a bit more the speed that I expected, but I honestly think Philly got bailed out in that sense because Cat was in foul trouble, because nobody in this playoff so far has been able to fuck with Cat. Simple. And I've said it once and I will say it again. Karl Anthony Towns will be the reason that the New York Knicks make it to the NBA Finals. Yes, Jalen Brunson, amazing. OG Anunoby, amazing. Karl Anthony Towns will be the reason. If the Knicks make the finals, it will be because of him. And huge salute to Mike Brown. I think it was at my Game 1 questions video. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out if you want to. It was about round 1, so it really don't even matter too much. I said Mike Brown needs to get Cat the ball. And I was only saying, get him the ball, get him some post touches, maybe get him at the top of the key, but he's turned him into basically what he had Sabonis doing in Sacramento. He's turned him into a hub, and Cat, he's just been dicing up every single defense that he's seen, and it's working. It's working. It's really, really working, and I'm really loving what I'm seeing from the New York Knicks. Cat being a hub, and then obviously Jalen Brunson, he's gonna be Jalen Brunson. OG Anunoby, ever since Anne Hathaway said she was gonna wear his jersey, he basically hasn't missed. Mikal Bridges finally learned what a layup is instead of a fading midi jumper. Mitchell Robinson was absent for game 2, but obviously, he's a big part of their success. Josh Hart, he's been the dog that he is. I've really been loving Jordan Clarkson and his new role in New York, being a dog, getting offensive boards, guarding. He's just been a complete 180. Jose Alvarado is giving a good spark off the bench, and I mean, they just look like the best team in the East right now that is still playing. I really can't. Like, they just haven't, outside of the 2 games that they dropped to Atlanta, they haven't looked bad. And I can't really say that for every single other team that's sitting in the East right now. I can't say that. So right now, the Knicks are the favorite for me to get out of the East. Moving on to the 76ers, they lose Joel Embiid for game 2, and they were in it. They were in it basically up until the very end. Paul George started off the game hot. He cooled down a lot throughout the course of the game. Maxey was really getting to the lane, pretty much having his way up until about the 4th quarter, where he just seemed gassed. He just seemed gassed. BJ Edgecombe had a solid game. Kelly Oubre, he's been okay. He's been all right. Obviously, like I said, they lost Joel Embiid. Adem Bona, he was in foul trouble. Andre Drummond, he can't guard Cat. He can't fuck with Cat. Even if Joel Embiid comes back, it's hard for me to see this series going past 6. I might give him 6 because Joel Embiid is still Joel Embiid, but I don't think he can guard Cat either. And I still think that New York, they probably have the most talent in this series. I think personally, I think they have the most talent in this series, and I just don't think I don't think Philadelphia can keep up. Last but not least, the only series that is not sitting at 2-0 right now, the San Antonio Spurs going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, sitting at 1 apiece. Minnesota still in game 1, obviously. Anthony Edwards, 11 points in the 4th quarter of game 1 to seal that one. Game 2 was not good. For lack of better words, it was not good. Not good for Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, he looks at about 35%. Ayo Dosunmu, we only got about 10 minutes from him. He didn't look great. Naz Reid didn't look great. Julius, nobody looked good. Nobody looked good, and obviously it was a blowout. Even with last game being the way that it was, I still think Minnesota has a chance to win this series. Obviously, you still game 1, so you have home court advantage there. If you go home and take care of business, win 1, shit, if you win 2, go up 3-1 or even it up going back to San Antonio, you're in a pretty solid spot. You're in a good spot. And I think that, as Anthony Edwards hopefully gets a little bit more healthy, Ayo Dosunmu can get his legs up under him some more. I would love to see Jaden McDaniels stop fouling and to be more aggressive offensively. He had 30 points in that game 6 against Denver. I personally think he could be their number 2 option right behind Anthony Edwards, and Julius Randle take a fucking back seat. Or maybe even next year get gone. But hey, we talking about the playoffs right now. So Jaden McDaniels, I would love to see him be more offensively aggressive. Obviously, it was a huge blow to lose Dante DiVincenzo. It's been a huge blow for Ant to be hurt and not be at 100%. It's been a huge blow for Ayo Dosunmu to get hurt last series, and he obviously was not 100% the other night. They've been fighting. They've had to fight, and they're in a 1-1 series right now. But at the same time, this is still the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, probably the greatest defensive prospect we've ever seen in the NBA. Steph Castle, he's been really good. De'Aaron Fox had a good game too. Dylan Harper, like I said before, is one of the best rookie guards I've ever seen with these 2 eyes right here. He's been really good, and they're just a well-oiled machine, and especially to be such a young team, it's fun to see. It's really fun to see, and I think that this is probably going to be the most competitive series in round 2, and I hope and pray, honestly, that this goes 7 games. With all that being said, the second round has been a little underwhelming compared to the first round, but that's just the way that the chips have fallen in the second round so far. But there's still plenty of basketball left, so we don't know what's going to happen, but we just got to tune in.